payment is negotiable, but if you focus on the payment, you will lose. Hello, car shoppers. It's me, Sean, with Car Buying Tips Online. Today's topic, what you need to know before you buy your next vehicle. In my 16 years of selling cars, I have seen car buyers make a lot of mistakes. And so I try to make videos to help empower car shoppers to negotiate better car deals and learn from the mistakes that I've seen made. So if you're interested in learning that, or if you're in the market for a new car, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if this video helps you out at all, please hit the like button for me. Back to today's topic, what you need to know before you buy your next vehicle. Well, the first thing that you need to know is how much can you afford? Now, if you're buying with cash, that's a very easy question to answer. It's how much cash you have. This video is really geared towards those who are going to be financing a vehicle. What you need to find out if you're financing a vehicle is your payment amount and what you can afford to pay each month. And be realistic with yourself and be comfortable. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do research using some tools and the links that I've provided below to try to work backwards from your payment amount and calculate what your amount finance needs to be in order to get to that payment amount. Because the reason for this is when you do finally go to a dealership and shop for a car, they're going to try everything they can to get you to focus on the payment if you're getting your financing through the dealership. What I recommend is that you get your financing outside first. Get pre-qualified before you go to a dealership. By doing this, you're doing two things. You're going to find out exactly what you can get approved for. And then when you do get to the dealership, you're going to be able to negotiate just like you have cash. So those are the advantages. And there's a lot of additional products and services that the dealer is going to try to sell you as part of the financing, and you can avoid all that too by getting pre-approved. So first, try to get pre-approved. If you do decide to get financing through the dealership, be prepared to negotiate, and be prepared to negotiate everything. Your interest rate, all the back-end products that they're going to try to sell you. And I'll go over that in a whole nother video, actually. But what you need to know before you go to the dealership, before you buy the vehicle, is you need to know what you can afford monthly, and then you need to work backwards from that number using some calculators online and figure out what your amount finance needs to be. So third, you're going to start doing product research, because now you know what you can afford monthly and you've worked your way backwards and figured out what your amount financed is. So you need to now start doing some product research to find out what vehicles fall into what year range vehicle, what make, model, and miles would fall into that price range. So if your amount financed is that you need to be at, that you've calculated that you need to be at, your desired amount financed, let's say is $18,000. Well, there's no reason to look at a car that's $26,000, because without $5,000 or $6,000 down, you're probably not going to be able to negotiate down to that, unless the car has some huge rebate. If you're looking at a $26,000 car and you know it's got a $5,000 manufacturer's rebate, well, yeah, you might be able to negotiate your way down to that. That's still kind of a stretch. But you want to try to look for cars that you think you can realistically negotiate down to your amount finance. And the way you do that is when you're doing your product research, you look for cars that, like on True Car or a Kelley Blue Book, you look for cars that you think can really be purchased realistically for the price that you're trying to get to for your desired amount finance. So, do a lot of product research. You'll be able to see what dealers are in your area and what they're selling cars for, what their listing prices are for. It's another thing that you should know before you go and buy a car, and that is you should be able to use the phone to work dealers against each other. Narrow it down. Narrow down your search so that when you do actually go out and do the legwork, you're not going to spend all day going to a bunch of different dealerships. After you've done that, then it's time to actually go down to the dealership and try to negotiate a deal. When you do get to the dealership, you don't just want to rush right over to that car that you've fallen in love with and tell them that you've fallen in love with it. What you want to do is you want to test drive several different cars. You want to drive the car that you really like, and you want to drive several other cars that are similar to it. There's two reasons for that. Number one, you want to make sure you really like that car. And number two, you want the dealership to invest time in you. The more time the dealership spends with you on the lot and showing you vehicles and negotiating numbers, the better it is for you. So they're going to be more willing to make concessions and more willing to make this deal after they've invested time, talent, and energy into trying to close you. So you've test driven some cars, you've gone inside, you know that you're going to be close to the number that you are, your desired amount financed. You know you're going to be close to that number because you've done your research and because you chose a vehicle that was close enough to your amount financed that you feel like you can negotiate your way down there. So you're going to go inside and you know the number that you need to be at. So no matter what happens, you know, they're going to come out, they're going to present numbers to you, you're going to go back and forth. You just need to not get confused with all the other, because they're going to come out and show you payment numbers, show you lease payment numbers. They're going to start talking about, if you have a trade, they're going to try to start talking about your trade, but they shouldn't know about your trade yet. Because if you do have a trade-in, you need to wait until the last minute to tell them about your trade-in. Don't mention the trade-in yet at all. Wait until you've negotiated down to what you think is the lowest sales price that they're going to negotiate with you, and then you throw your trade-in. Okay? And then also after that is when you're going to start trying to back out any kind of unnecessary fees. So the dealer's going to add dealer fees, dealer prep fees, document fees. Any kind of fee that gets taxed is a fee that you should try to negotiate out of your deal. Now, there's nothing unethical about that. The dealer's not doing anything unethical by trying to charge those fees. They're not trying to rip you off. It's simply another way that the dealership is trying to make profit. Because this is a negotiation from the time that you start your research until the time that you walk out or drive out in a vehicle. It's a negotiation. And everybody and everything is negotiable in that process. So your interest rate will be negotiable. Your sales price is obviously negotiable. The payment is negotiable, but if you focus on the payment, you will lose. That allows them to obviously have an advantage in the negotiation. So that is why, and the same thing with the trade. If you tell them you have a trade up front, that is an advantage to the dealership and not an advantage to you. So by you holding the trade information and then by you negotiating out taxable fees after you've done that, then you are putting yourself in a better position to negotiate. You are giving yourself the advantage over the dealership. And just by doing your research and being prepared is giving you an advantage. A big advantage over a lot of buyers, because most buyers don't do their research. Now, another thing that I want to tell you is don't fall for the switch, okay? Or if you do, you need to leave and come back after you've done more research. There's a reason why dealers switch you, meaning that you've come in on a car at a certain advertised price, and you come in and you find out that that car has been sold. And they're going to try to show you another vehicle that's similar to it, with similar options and miles, etc. Well, and sometimes they'll throw you a curveball if they're a smart dealer, and what they'll try to do is they'll try to show you a car that's actually not anything like the car that you were there to see. And there's a reason for that, because you haven't researched that car. So they have an advantage now, and that advantage is you don't know what the actual market value is on that car retail. You have no idea about the reliability on the car. You can ask them for a Carfax, which you should always do, of course. But that's going to just tell you about that specific car. Either way, you're not really prepared to negotiate on that car. Now, you can kind of wing it because you've done your research and you know what your amount of finance has to be. But you should still take the time off to go and research that specific car. Plus, it takes the leverage away from the dealership. Because now when you come back, you know, you're still going to be in an advantageous position. If you have any questions about negotiating a car deal or about what you should know before you go and buy a car, please put those in the comments below and I'll be happy to try and answer them. I might even make a follow-up video to answer your specific questions. Now, there's a lot of things that I didn't cover in this video, but I don't want to make it too long that you get so bored you stop watching it. So I will make some follow-up add-on videos on things you should know before you buy a car and how to negotiate the best possible car deal. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day shopping out there, America, and anywhere else in the world for that matter. I am Sean with Car Buying Tips Online. If you enjoyed this video, please tap the like button. And if you'd like more videos like this, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Have a great day.